It's the Scotty Myers Show.
Hey, welcome to the show, a very special edition of the Scotty Myers Show podcast, all about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Walt Disney World. And this episode brought to you by the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Hotels. Fantastic place to stay if you're coming down for Galaxy's Edge, because you can walk over to the park. You can also walk over to Epcot, which is really cool. And the fact that I could walk was a huge lifesaver today. I got out. They had started the transportation a little earlier than normal because they were opening the park at 6 o'clock, but they knew people were going to get over there early. And I just happened to miss the boat. As I walked out the door, it pulled out of the dock, and it was like, you know, if I was staying somewhere else, I would have had to wait for the next transport. But being able to walk over meant I got into Galaxy's Edge. First thing, I was one of the first people inside Galaxy's Edge today. They actually let us in early. The park wasn't supposed to open till 6 o'clock, and they kind of let us through one gate into the park, and then we kind of kept moving back, forward. Galaxy's Edge is in the very back corner of the park, so they kept kind of moving us. And then at one point, we were looking at the entrance two by two, and we kept moving. And I was kind of like, I don't think they're going to stop us. I think they're letting us in the park. And they did. So we were in Galaxy's Edge at about 5 a.m. We were all standing in line. Everybody was shocked. Everybody was looking around, awestruck. And then it just became kind of a free-for-all. You could either stay in line for the Millennium Falcon ride, Smuggler's Run, or you could venture about to the shops, the stores. They had the restaurants up and running. It was crazy. It was ready to roll at 5 a.m. this morning. And man, I got to tell you, walking in two by two, and the experience only got better, but even just coming through the tunnel, and as soon as you make the turn and you're kind of into the world, you do suddenly feel like you're on a different planet. And then the more you talk to the people that are working there, they're citizens of Batuu, the more you feel like you're on a different planet. There's a bit of a different language. There's different terms. Like, they don't say hello, they say bright suns. When they say goodbye, it's till the spire. They ask for credits, not money. It's things like that. And it kind of throws you for the first little while. And then you get wrapped up in it. Like, I found myself just walking by, citizens of Batuu saying bright suns. Like I was totally immersed in the world of Batuu, and the way they do it, it's not easy to fall into it. There's sound effects all around you that make it feel like a living world. You'll hear starfighters, whether it's TIE fighters, X-Wings, whatever, flying overhead, and you hear that noise and you look up, and you're looking for a ship, and there isn't one, not yet. Something in the back of my head says that Disney Imagineering is working on making hologram, craft to fly above. So give them a couple of years, and I'm sure they'll have it. But even just when you're standing near trees, there's some birds chirping and stuff like that. It's just really immersive. The whole idea of Galaxy's Edge is that you are on a new planet. You're not just visiting a theme park. So with that in mind, they don't have the typical meet and greets. Like when you go to the other parks, it's like Mickey is at this spot, you stand in a line, you meet Mickey, you get your picture with him, and then off you go. What they do in Batuu is the characters are just kind of roaming around. So Rey, Chewie, they're just roaming around the Resistance area of the park. Kylo Ren, some First Order officers, stormtroopers, they're roaming around the First Order area of the park. And it's really, even what I saw today led to some really cool interactions. Like I saw a little girl dressed up as Rey, and Rey from Batuu saw her, came over and started talking to her and walked with her for a little while, and really gave that little girl a memory that she's going to have probably for the rest of her life. It was really sweet to see. And I like this aspect of the world, that it's not just line up, photo, move. It's really more immersive. And speaking of memories you're going to have for your life, the first thing I wanted to do, obviously, was hop on Smuggler's Run and pilot the Millennium Falcon. And I managed to get on it relatively quick. They had a single rider line that nobody really knew was open. So I thought I'd run down and check and see if it was. And it was. So I hopped on it. The first time I rode it, I was a gunner. There's 3 positions on the ride. You can be pilot, gunner, or engineer. And a pilot, obviously, you're steering. Gunner, you're shooting at asteroids, TIE fighters, or engineer, you're repairing the ship as the damage is happening to it throughout the experience. And it's, again, very immersive. And so the first time I was a gunner, had a blast doing that. And then I got to go on it again, and I was the pilot. And you want to talk about the dreams of a 7-year-old boy coming true, piloting the Millennium Falcon. I mean, it's something I've wanted to do since I was a wee little lad. Since the first time I ever saw Star Wars, I was like, I would love to pilot that hunk of junk. And I got to. And the seat that I was in, I got to put it in hyperdrive. Talk about really a lifelong dream coming true. It gave me chills. When I got off the ride, I almost felt like I was going to cry. It was that kind of emotional. It touched that child that still lives inside me that deeply. It was a phenomenal experience. And if you've been checking the social media pages, I've been updating with a lot of pictures on the Facebook page and on the Instagram and then Twitter. And one of the things I pointed out was the attention to detail. Like the Millennium Falcon, the corridors look like they do in the movie. Like I kind of was standing there at one point looking at the hallway and expected to see Han Solo come around the corner or Chewie come around the corner. It felt that real. And then just the little things that they've thrown in there, just the little tiny things like Luke's blaster shield and training droid are sitting there above the chess table that you can sit around, which is crazy. But it's little things like that take the experience of Galaxy's Edge to a level that I haven't experienced in a theme park before. And there's nice little nods. Like there's some cargo boxes up high when you're just walking through Batuu, and I happened to look up at them and I noticed the numbers on the cargo boxes were 77, 80, 83, the years that the original trilogy was released. Just little Easter eggs like that are very, very cool. And I can't say enough about the experience that they have built here. I know I'm just like gushing praise on it. There are some negatives, they'll be coming, but I really just couldn't get over how sucked in I was. And even after I had, ridden the ride a few times, poked my head in a few shops, I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay on Batuu as long as I could. You can drink green milk or blue milk. I had both today. I was initially only going to have one, but then I was like, no, I'm having both. And much to my surprise, I think the green milk is my favorite. The blue milk is very good, but I actually think the green milk might take the cake. It was really delicious. You can get them with alcohol or without. I just had them without to start. Wanted to get that authentic taste of them first. Maybe tomorrow I'll pop my head back in and try them with the alcohol and see what that does to them. But that's a must do. If you go into Batuu, you've got to try the green or blue milk. If you're going with a few people, split it up and share because they're both worth trying 100%. Now, I'll get into some of the negatives here, and some of these things are going to be fixed over time. Like, I just kind of know it. One of them being the lines. Dear God, the lines today. There was lines for everything. If you wanted to go into a store, there was a line. If you wanted to eat, there was a line. Obviously, if you wanted to get on Smuggler's Run, there was a huge line. At one point, it was over 5 hours. And, that's obviously a major detraction if you're trying to go to the land and enjoy yourself, because it's hard to enjoy yourself when you're just standing there for hours on end. Like I stood probably close to 2 hours to go into the antiquities dealer where they have some really cool high-priced collectibles. If you're a Star Wars nut and you got some extra galactic credits to throw around, that is the place to go. But it sucks to stand in a line for 2 hours to spend some money. That part, not very fun. But I think as, the park, the land gets, not as fresh and new, obviously those lines will dwindle down. And the lineup for Smuggler's Run, part of the reason why it's so out of control is that there's only one ride in there right now. There's another one coming, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, which will open December 5th. But if you're going between now and then, there really only is the one ride. Yes, there's the experience throughout the entire world, but if you're a ride junkie, you're one and done, which is a bit of a bummer, and it also makes the lineup for that ride super, super long. So I think that will fix itself a little bit when Rise of the Resistance opens up in December, just because there's going to be more options for people, and more options is always better. So those are kind of the big negatives. The other negatives, there's no sit-down table service restaurant yet. There is a cantina. They have some light finger snacks and drinks, but if you're looking to have like a full sit-down table service meal, that does not exist yet. I definitely can see Disney fixing that at some point down the road. I don't know how long that will take them. I don't know how high a priority it is for them. There's definitely room. I think there's a lot of space in Batuu and in Galaxy's Edge that is purposely not being used right now. And I think that's so that they can do some future expansion plans. I by no means think this is a finished park. And when I say that, I mean, it doesn't feel unfinished, but I just think this is the type of thing they're going to build upon and build upon and build upon. Of course, they have the Star Wars Hotel coming, which is going to add another layer of immersion to the world of Batuu. But I think actually in Batuu, we're going to see more things added over time. I am strictly speculating on that, but it just seems like it would make sense that they'll continue to grow that land. And if they keep the same level of quality and eye for detail, I say build away. I mean, I read reports today that it cost $1 billion to build that place. I can see where the money went. Sometimes you drive by a property or something like that and you see the price tag and you're like, how is that house worth $500,000? It looks like a shithole. You walk in that place and you're like, it's cost $1 billion. You're like, yep, it did. $1 billion might actually be a bargain for this place. It's so damn cool. If you are a Star Wars fan, put this on your list. Honestly, figure out a way to get yourself down here at some point. It's not going to disappoint. It is, like I said, I was holding back tears even when I walked into the place today, because I was just like, wow, this is everything. Like when you were sitting in your backyard with your little figures playing and you were picturing what the world was that you were playing on rocks, you were kind of imagining it. That imagination that you had as a child has now come to life. And it's just absolutely amazing to visit. It really is. I instantly wanted to come back to the hotel when I was done at the parks today and just watch every Star Wars movie. I just want to do nothing but Star Wars for the next little while. And a little oddity, if you are going relatively soon and you buy any of the Coke products that they have there, you really might have a hard time bringing them back on a plane. TSA has said that they don't like them. They look like bombs. They look like thermal detonators is what they look like from the movies. But the TSA right now is not letting people bring them back on planes. So don't try to bring those back. You'll just cause yourself a headache when you're flying home at security, which you don't want. You don't want a headache when you're trying to get on a plane. And another little thing, if you're trying to make the day a Star Wars kind of all-encompassing day, another thing you can add to it, I did it tonight, I've done it before and I think it's amazing, is the Star Wars Galactic Spectacular dessert party. At the end of the night in Hollywood Studios, they do a Star Wars fireworks demonstration that is really cool. You do have to find your spot pretty early and just kind of sit there and wait. If you want a reserved good spot, and then also all you can eat and all you can drink, get the dessert party. I think it's about $80, but in my mind, definitely worth it. You also get some character meet and greets. I got to meet Darth Vader tonight as part of it. A little meet and greet with Chewie as well. So you get to do that, which is a nice added bonus. So that's just something you can tack on. Just a little tip if you've got the cash and you want to guarantee yourself a sweet spot for the fireworks. It's worth the extra money. It really is. It also takes the pressure of finding a great spot off your shoulders. And then on top of that, you get all the benefits, like all the drinks, all that. And when I'm talking alcohol, mixed drinks, not just like, beer or wine. They're mixed drinks, Star Wars themed mixed drinks. And a lot of the desserts are Star Wars themed. Like they freeze Nutella in like liquid nitrogen or something, but it's kind of like carbonite, and which is kind of cool. So those are just little things you can do to add on to your Galaxy's Edge experience. And when you're in there, expect to be overwhelmed at times. I definitely felt that in a good way. Like you're just kind of, your head's on a swivel because you don't want to miss anything. There's things happening all around you. So be prepared. It's unlike any place you have ever visited before. If you haven't checked out the social media pages yet, I would highly recommend doing that because there's lots of photos, lots of videos that will show you some of the things that you can see in Galaxy's Edge. If you're looking for us on Facebook, it's the Scotty Mars Show on Facebook. It's also Scotty Mars Show on Twitter Scotty Mars Show on Instagram, at Scotty Mars on Twitter. I've been up since 3:00. Leave me alone. It's been a very, very long day, but I still feel like I have energy because it was such an exciting day, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow because I am going to go back to Batuu and experience it all again. I still feel like there's things I didn't do, even though I spent 90% of the day in there. I barely left the world, but I still feel like there's more for me to uncover. And that's a rare feeling. Normally you spend that much time in a place and you're like, I'm good. I don't need to come back here for a little bit. Not Galaxy's Edge. I cannot wait to return tomorrow. We'll be back next Thursday with a regular edition of the Scotty Mars Show. Don't forget to subscribe. Give us those ratings and reviews. That's really helping grow the show because the more we get of those, the more we get bumped up on those lists. So it does us a great, great service. Again, this episode brought to you by the Swan and Dolphin Hotel and Resorts right here in the heart of Disney World. Until we talk again, or maybe I should say till the Spire, have a great week.